Hello guys, so we are going to continue our discussion with respect to Flask. Now in this video, we are going to build a simple Flask web application, and you'll also be able to understand the skeleton, the basic skeleton that is required to start a Flask project. Okay. So if you go ahead and probably see the code, right? I have created a folder which is called as Flask, and inside that I have created another folder which is called as Flask. And inside this folder, I have actually created an app.py file. Okay. So let me just hide my face and let me go ahead with the basic implementation so that you can completely see the screen itself, and I'll try to explain each and every line of the code as I go ahead. So first of all, I need to go ahead and install my Flask app, right? So for that, I'll go to my requirement.txt, go ahead and save this particular library. Okay. And in this library, I will go ahead and write pip install -r requirement.txt. Now, before going ahead, I'm inside my 12th logging in Python. So what I will do, I'll just go ahead and write cd ... It'll go back. I'll go ahead and write cd. From here, I can go ahead and write pip install -r requirement.txt. Okay. So here you'll be able to see the requirement will get installed, and my Flask will also get installed as we go ahead. So this is the first step that I really need to do. Unless and until we don't have this particular library, we won't be able to implement, or we won't be able to create any applications. Okay, web applications. Now I will go ahead and import from Flask. Let's go ahead and import Flask. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use in order to create my entire app. You'll be seeing step by step. This is the library that we'll be using. Okay, now over here, the first step is, initializing this Flask app. Okay, so I will go ahead and write app is equal to Flask. Okay, I will go ahead and initialize this. Now it is very much important to understand what this code actually says. So over here you will be able to see that here we are creating the instance of the Flask app, right? So let me just go ahead and write some comments over here. So here you can see, I will just go ahead and paste this particular comment. So here you can see it creates an instance of the Flask class, which will be your web server gateway interface application. Okay, so this, in short, the code that we are specifically using and writing app is equal to Flask. It is just going to create an instance of the Flask class, which will be it will act as a web server gateway interface, which will further interact with the web server itself, right? So this is the first step that we really need to do. Now inside this, we also need to give one very important parameter, and this parameter you cannot skip it, right? What parameter we will be giving? Let's say I will go ahead and use this if __name _ is equal to __main __. Now this condition that I have actually written, okay, it will be double equal to. This is the entry point of any .py file. Let's say if I am creating this .py file, I have written this particular condition. In my entire code, right, it will first of all go ahead and it will check this, and from here your execution will basically start. Okay, now since I'm writing this particular condition over here, I will say, hey, my app needs to probably start my execution from here itself. So I will just go ahead and write this. I'll copy this if __ name, and I'll paste it over here, right? Now in order to run this entire app, I just can use app.run, right? So once I do app.run, that basically means this entire Flask app is going to run. So this is the basic skeleton, right? Initially what we are doing, we are importing from Flask, import Flask, then we go ahead and create our WSGI, that is web server gateway interface, just by using this app is equal to where we are initializing the Flask. Okay, and one parameter that we are giving, which is the entry point of this particular application, and inside this we are running this particular app, which is my Flask app. Okay, so this is the basic skeleton that we specifically use while we are creating our web framework using Flask. Okay, now let's go to the next step. Okay, so here I'm also going to write my comment. So this basically is my WSGI application. Okay, application. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and first of all create a basic route. Now see, this is my Flask application, and the first thing is that, let's say if I'm going and visiting google.com. So google.com is the home page of that specific application, right? Now here, similarly, if I really want to just go ahead and create my home page, okay, so what I will do, I will go ahead and write one app.route. Okay, so this app.route is nothing but you'll be able to see that it is a decorator. Okay. Now inside this app.route, here you can see how beautifully all options are over here to check it out, like what all parameters is basically required. So the first parameter is something called as rule, which will be in the string format. Okay. And then we will talk more about this particular other parameters in the upcoming sessions. So first parameter here, you can see that I will be providing a rule parameter and it will be in the form of string. Let's say here I give a rule parameter, which is like slash. Slash basically means this basically becomes my home page. Okay. Now this decorator, what it is going to do is that, in short, like I have just given the route of the home page. As soon as I go to this particular route, that basically means whenever I go and visit my website with this route, with slash, right, ending with slash, over here you'll be able to see that it will go ahead and call this particular function. Okay. Let's say I'm going to define a function which is called as welcome. Now here I'm going to go write return welcome to this Flask course. Okay. I'm just writing this particular message. Okay. Now, once I write this particular message, if I go ahead and execute it, I'll just give you an idea. Like, see, whenever I go ahead and hit this slash along with my URL, you'll be able to see that this decorator is pointing on top of this particular function. That basically means this function is going to get executed and then this message will be returned in our web page. Okay. Now, in order to check it out and see whether everything is working fine, I will just go ahead and open my terminal. You know that this is inside my 12th folder, not 12th, sorry, it should be 13th. That is my Flask folder. I'll go to my Flask folder. Then again, I'll go to my Flask over here. So there is also one small folder that I have done it. You cannot run it directly because inside this Flask folder, you have this app.py. Now, if I go ahead and execute Python app.py, you will be able to see that I will be getting this information. See, so this is how I will be getting, and my entire application is running. And right now it is running on this particular local host. Okay. We will talk about what all parameters which you can give inside this app.run. But right now you will be able to see that I am running in this local host and the port is 5000. So let me just go ahead and click it. So if I go ahead and click it here, you will be able to see that I'm getting this particular message, welcome to this Flask course. Now you need to understand why I am getting this particular message. Was this not in my home page? So if you go down over here, was this not in my home page? That is slash. So if I go to my website and if I just take this entire URL, I just write slash over here and just press enter. So this basically goes to my home page. Now what is exactly happening? When I go ahead and write this forward slash and I just press enter, then it will be going to my code. Okay. And then what it will be doing, it will be hitting this particular route. Now when this route is hit, right, it is just going to go ahead and execute this particular function. And that is the reason you are able to see that you are getting this particular message that is welcome to the Flask course. Okay. Now this is only not that, I'll show you some more very much important feature. Now inside this app.run, okay, inside this app.run, you also have an option to put host, okay, host in the form of string. Then you also have an option which is called as debug is equal to bool, right? So these are some two important parameters. Host is not nothing but it is the host name to, let's say in my local, since I'm running it in my local host will be 127.0.0.1, which is running over there. I can also provide my own port if I want, right? So there is another port parameter. I can keep it to 8080. I can keep it to 5000. By default, it is taking 5000. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Over here, let's go ahead and use this particular parameter, which is called as debug is equal to true. Now, what happens if I write debug is equal to true? Or let me do one thing, okay? In order to show you over here, what I will do, I will go ahead and write welcome to this Flask course. And here I'll say, this should be an amazing course. Okay, amazing course. Now, once I make these changes, can I run these changes directly, right? So let's go ahead and see this. If I go ahead and reload it, you'll be able to see, no, I'm still getting that older message. The reason is very much simple. Unless and until I don't restart my server, I will not be able to get that particular message. So let me just go ahead and restart this server over here. And now, in this particular case, I will just go ahead and run it. Okay. And now if I go ahead and reload this, you'll be able to see that I'm getting this particular message. But it is not possible that while I'm developing, right, I always need to restart it. So what I will do right now, I'll just go ahead and close. Okay. And here I will just go ahead and use one parameter, which is called as debug is equal to true. Okay. Once I go ahead and write debug is equal to true. Now, if I go ahead and execute this, you will be able to see that I'll open this URL. Okay. Now see, welcome to the Flask course. This should be an amazing course. Now I will go ahead and update the message. Welcome to this best Flask course. And I'll just go ahead and save it. Now see, as soon as I started saving it, right, the server automatically got restarted, right? And now if I just go ahead and reload it, you'll be able to see that welcome to this best Flask course. So that is the importance of using this particular debug statement. That basically means you're just developing, and anytime you make any changes over here, it is just going to restart the server over here, right? And this is the most important thing with respect to this. Now, once you have created one route, similarly, you can create any number of route, right? Let's say this will be my /index route. Okay. I will say, hey, welcome to the index page. And once I save it, again, you will be able to see, let me do one thing, app/app.route. Okay. It shows some error because the route was same, right? Both route was same, but I changed it. Now, if I go ahead and execute it again, you will be able to see again, I'm getting a row error saying that, okay, the function name is same. Let me just go ahead and change it. So this will be changing over here. I'll be changing my route. I'll be changing my function name. And finally, you can see welcome to the index page. So if I go ahead and execute it over here, you'll be able to see now. I will just go ahead and use /index, which will be my another route. And here it shows welcome to the index page. So this was a basic skeleton along with the kind of routes that you can actually create, and you can create any number of routes as long as you want. Now in the upcoming video, I will try to show you how you can also integrate with an HTML file, and we'll also be talking about the Jinja 2 template engine, right? I'll also be showing you how you can build your URL dynamically. And then after that, we'll create some kind of projects also. So I hope you got an idea, the basic idea, like how a Flask skeleton basically works, how you can actually work with Flask framework and create a simple, end-to-end web framework itself, web project itself. And I know there's still more topics that needs to be discussed, which we'll be discussing in the upcoming video. So yes, this was it from my side. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.